Your Power podcast. I am your host, Nicole. Oh, guys, I see you. Come on in. Let me turn this on. We are waiting for our co-host to come on. I got Tina just went through. And Stephanie.
Oh, here we are
Tina is
again.
in. And Stephanie is almost in. Is she in?
No, I see her on the screen.
Right, but I don't see her. See her?
Well, she could figure out how to get herself on camera.
Oh man, oh man. All right. Welcome in, beautiful souls, to Awakening Truths Make Up Your Power podcast. This evening, where did you go? There she is. I was going to say, oh, hell to the no, 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 when that just happened. So, back. We'll reset there. Tonight, we are going to be welcoming in, where is that coming from? Our third co-host. Well, I would say our trio. I'm going to welcome in our trio because if you guys have been paying attention and is Stephanie fucking with me right now? With this?
Stephanie is now taking my place.
She no. Stephanie just ran. Where did she go?
She heard
Okay,
trio and she ran.
right. So we are going to have a trio. If you guys have been watching and listening, you've seen that there's been a shadow figure in our photo because I have envisioned it being three people. And I would like to welcome Stephanie when we can get her back. On it looks like she's still on.
She's on TikTok still.
Yeah, can you hear us, Stephanie? Okay, I don't think so. All right. Well, while we're working her back into the room. Okay, you're saying, yeah, but you're in the comments. I don't hear you up top though. Did you turn the volume off on TikTok? Because we lost you in YouTube and on
This is
Riverside.
so validating. I appreciate it.
What, that you weren't the only one?
Yeah.
It's technology, bro. Because you want to know why? It's because we set it in stone. Before when she was just coming on, it was fine. But because now we made something of it, they're like, nope.
She's there.
Okay, so just it's that room is going to be the same room, so you should be able to link right back into it. Okay. Are you in? It's okay, dude, girl. We're on. Listen, everybody, we're on day 23. Okay.
It's day 23 of technology issues.
Yes, and Mercury has not been retrograde at all the entire time. So, with that being said, my father up there is loving this, and that's okay. There, she's on her way back. She's on her way back, and she's here. All right, so I want to welcome in Stephanie. I've known her for a very, very, very long time. We are also, just so you know, we're recording for the podcast too, and for anybody who wants to listen back again. So we've got a pretty fun night. Overall, we're going to be introducing our trio, which Stephanie will do a little introduction. I'd like to introduce her as she was married to my father and had my beautiful half siblings, a part of them, because there's still another one as well. And was always trying to get me out of the wars of what I was being raised up in. After my father passed, we rekindled something, and I'm grateful for it. I feel like my father passing brought her into my world. And now she is here on this platform. And then also, we're going to be speaking about Uranus and Venus conjunction. It's very beautiful energy. It's very transformative energy that we're experiencing, and the move into Gemini and what house Gemini is for you that you may be experiencing this shift. So I'm going to welcome in everybody. I'm going to let our trio member Stephanie introduce herself in, and then we will continue on and talk about psychological stability and the importance of it with the transits that we are moving into. So Stephanie, I'll let you have the floor.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So, I'm Stephanie Jackson. I am the third wheel in this group. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, you're
Um,
not. You're one wheel. You're the other. We're doing this together.
we make a
I like
tricycle. All right.
it.
So, as Nicole said, we have known each other for a while, and I'm blessed to have her as a stepdaughter. Yes, love you. So she brought me into this because I don't know, we've got this connection now. So, just a little bit about myself. A year ago, I lost my best friend, who was my soul person. And since that time, I've either been inside my head trying to make sense of things or draining myself trying to fill a void by showing up for others, but not putting in that same effort in myself. Wasn't until recently that I had my personal awakening or my aha moment. I had a session with Nicole, and she guided me through grounding myself, um, and then invited me to a challenge. Do the damn thing.
The 30-day challenge or a different challenge?
No, it was not a 30-day challenge.
What is she doing? How many challenges are out there?
No, this is my mentor that's doing a
Yes.
challenge that I connected her with.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And positive team. Um, but in that challenge, it forced me to slow myself down and focus on myself. And I realized how much of my life was being run by outside noise, and how little space I was giving myself to be able to ground myself. So, and connect with myself. So, with, Nicole's help and the help of the challenge and doing some additional things, some classes and stuff that I'm going to be doing through all of that, um, I'm hoping to be able to, as Nicole says, find my authentic self, be true to myself.
Yes.
Oh, I think you know your authentic self. You're just gonna bring her back out.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephanie, I'm sorry. When you say you lost somebody, was that to like a death or?
Yes. She was
Okay.
hit. Yeah, she was
That
hit head
makes me
on.
very, very
Yep.
happy.
Yeah.
I get you. Well, you're in good company.
Yes.
Sure are.
Yeah.
You're in good company. That's what we're here for.
Hmm.
Um, so just pace yourself and know that if at any time something feels awkward to you on while we're doing this, just pause and take a breath.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. Your volume's cutting in and out a little bit.
Is it?
No, Stephanie's is a little bit. It sounds a little far away. Why does it sound far away to you on TikTok or no?
I don't know. I'm by my phone, so.
Oh, now I can hear. Okay.
Okay.
Nope, you're good. I can hear you there. Maybe it was like lower, it fainted a little bit.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now that we've done the wonderful introduction, now I would like to give Tina the floor to share to start into talking about psychological safety. The reason why, because if you intro with the psychological safety and then we kind of bring in the energies, I think that we can ground it better for the viewers and listeners.
Sure. So if you had joined us last night, we spent the hour talking about emotional intelligence and how much it really does impact our own behaviors and the way we show up, but also how other folks interpret and kind of um, assume certain behaviors are happening without understanding the story because they're what I call emotional intelligence EQ. Their EQ is really much lower and they can't really relate to that individual. So tonight, this is still about emotional truth and what needs to be spoken, but it's spoken with intention. And when I say that, I mean we're putting a lot of effort to bring this forward. We're not doing it for just educational purposes, but there is um, there is some taboo around, you know, how you show up and how people accept you, and where your voice is allowed in a room, and how loud can you get, and how much can you say. So when I thought about tonight, I was trying to tie EQ into psychological safety. And you'll hear psychological safety a lot in like mostly workplaces where people just don't feel safe. There, you could be adjusting to a new environment, a new leader, there's a lack of trust. There's just this feeling where you're just not feeling comfortable, and psychological safety comes in to that place. Um, it's not about comfort. Psychological safety is something that will trigger you to make your body interpret what's happening around you, feel like it's very uncomfortable and maybe not safe. So when we try to tie the EQ with the psychological safety, we're looking for that permission to be honest without judgment, without fear, and to really bring forward our authentic self. And that's really hard these days because there is a lot of judgment in the world. And when people hear your stories or hear what you have to say, they really do work very hard at minimizing what it is that you're trying to get across. So this was something Nicole and I just wanted to try to bring up to let people know that some of the conversations we've had about the world shifting, things feeling heavy, something's not right, I can't put a name to it. We're just trying to think of all the different terms that come to mind when we think about those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then with this transition tonight, Nicole and is going to try to work it into that conversation about how it ties into that emotional intelligence and psychological safety. So I think it's going to be an interesting evening. I think it's going to be one of those WTF moments for me again, where I get lost in the spirituality or verbiage that she has because she knows it so well, and I'm still trying to understand what house my something sits in. So I'm excited to see how we tie this in, and I'm really excited to see um, where Stephanie's experience is coming in tonight, where she feels like she might make some connections because I think they're there. You just don't realize they're there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And by having these conversations, right, it brings the awareness in because some people, so you use the word psychological safety. What would our audience maybe interpret in using a different verbiage, a different wording for it? Would it be like emotional safety or like, is that incomparable or?
Well, I think they coined it. It's a fairly new term. Not everybody's familiar with it, but I think they coined it psychological safety because it's really the emotions that are impacting your mental well-being. So, not just your emotions as they play into understanding other people, but how you're reacting to a situation because your brain is sending you signals that are saying you don't feel safe here, this doesn't feel right, I don't trust this. So, I guess you could put a lot of words to it, Nicole, but sticking with the what things have been coined lately in the real world out there, I just thought I would bring it up because when you do hear it, you're gonna wonder what does that really mean.
Right. Well, what comes to me when you bring it up, it, oh, somebody's echoing. We're echoing all of a sudden.
I don't know if that's me or not. I'm trying. Do I listen through TikTok or do I listen through here?
You're gonna mute here and then
Okay.
Yeah, listen through TikTok. We do the same thing, girl. It's all good. So when you were talking about psychological safety, what came to me was like moments when whoever I was working for, it was a corporation, but when I was working for them, I felt like when I would be in a room that it was more, get back to things, even though there was verbiage out there of like you can come to us if there is a problem, you can this, you can X, Y, and Z, right? But then when the opportunity arose and you utilized those rules or those safeguards that the corporation had in place for you, and then you're in that conversation, then you start realizing that you end up being, say, reprimanded or having some issues in work. That's what kind of comes to mind when you said that, because I know for me it created a lot of turmoil carrying that because it was like, I'm being mistreated this way. It's obvious that it's this way, but I've got to continue how to show up in this job because I need the job. So, like, that's really what I was gauging when you kind of brought that up. And feel free to comment down below how psychological safety, when you hear those words, what kind of comes to you as well.
Um, so going back to your explanation or how you interpret it, I would say yes, because what happens is it's not starting in the boardroom or the meeting. It's starting when after you've gone to your boss to report something, and then there's a form of retaliation. You relate that to lack of trust, lack of respect, not a safe place. And so that's when the psychological safety starts to creep in. A lot of people feel like the psychological safety creeps in just because they're observing it through other people. They're watching things take place in the workspace that are making them question, oh no, will they be here tomorrow?
See, and that right there is a collective great shift that you could say collectively that we're all experiencing right now.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what's being said and what I'm seeing here? There's a lot of, and that's what this transit, to lean right into the transit with that, really speaks about. Because with, I mean, Venus being in Gemini, it's a shorter, it's only a few weeks, but Uranus is going to be in Gemini for the next 7 years, so 2033. Okay, 33, that number. Oh my father. Anyways, so sorry, that just threw me off. So with that being said, moving into Gemini, that's going to be communication, fast moving. It's also going to be misinformation. It's also going to be the falling of belief systems, communication. So in speaking with what you're talking about the psychological safety, that's going to really play individually and collectively over these next 7 years.
Yeah. And I think what might help if I rephrase this, it's that the EQ really is the skill set that makes psychological safety possible. So
Yes.
if you're good with your EQ and somebody comes to you with a problem, you're going to know how to manage it by making them feel safe, heard, and seen.
Than rather the opposite. So the inbounds of psychological safety is what we were leaning into, but so just the same again, we can use that as an energy of the
Yep.
shadow and the light and the shadow aspects of what psychological safety can be.
Absolutely.
Right. Nice. And so, Stephanie, if there was anything that you wanted to bring in, or because we could get yapping and going, girl, so you feel free to just either, observe tonight, listen in, but if there's anything you want to bring in, feel free to just drop it, okay? Okay. So, now with Uranus and Venus, okay, for anybody that's newly listening in or what have you, these are planets. We have planets all around us. We have stars. We have everything, okay? And we are all energy. So for me to simplify, just as much as the sun can create heat on your body, is that Mercury can create disturbance or clarity in your communication. Okay, that is just an example to give you about what planets do and the impacts that they have with us. And for, say, Uranus and Venus, Uranus is innovation. I mean, a really big disruptor is usually the main word when it comes to talking about Uranus. But then you have Venus, which is more loving energy. Okay, it's softer. So when you have these two energies, hold on, I'm getting lost here on my paperwork because I don't want to travel too far. So me to slow it down. So right now we have Venus, say the planet of love, and then you got Uranus, the disruptor, but they're coming into a conjunction at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is an anaretic degree. It's a final degree in from 0 to 29. So and it's in Taurus. Okay, so that means a completion. That means like almost like a test moment. Like, have you learned what you were meant to learn during this transit that's been going on in the past 7 years? It's a final wake up call. to love, money, self-worth, stability. I'm even seeing how it's coming to a full culmination for myself today. Because a stability, but breaking attachments to what felt safe but wasn't aligned. It's like last chance energy. Choosing truth over comfort. And I want to relate this back because Tina was even saying, in the place of being comfortable right now, I've got to be open to change pretty much. And adapting. Like, listen, we're all gonna fail in life. We're gonna have those things happen. But she's very right in speaking that um, we're no longer living in an energy where we could choose to play ignorant to what's really happening and just to remain in our comforts. Does that make sense? Material, what have you. um so that's why with communication and truth moving forward, it's going to happen fast. So with the shift into Gemini, we're going from grounded, slower Taurus energy, and then what we're moving into is more fast, mental communication. So when I say control your mind, control your life, it's going to be really pivotal, guys, that you really ground yourself and that you really are mindful on what you are allowing in, because misinformation, stuff to pull you outside of yourself, is going to happen. So grounding, pausing, taking a second, and really going within to see if your body is aligning to what you're hearing. So nervous system regulating. Go ahead before I keep going and start losing everybody.
No, no, I was just gonna say, with this transit, it creates a psychological landscape where suppressed emotions rise to the surface, right? So you kind of touched on that. Authenticity authenticity becomes non-negotiable. You're not going to lose yourself. Old communications or habits feel too light. It's almost like you've got to redefine the boundaries of where you were or who you've got these boundaries with. And then new relationships have a possibility to bloom. And I think this is the night where EQ becomes the spiritual practice of a way of
Yes.
honoring the truth so that it can emerge within you and the humanity of the people around you.
Absolutely, because everything that we work through individually has a collective shift, and we are all experiencing this collectively. So
Shine that light, baby.
yeah, it goes within, it goes back and forth. So like when earlier when Stephanie was talking about stepping into her authenticity, it just confirms again, it is becoming non-negotiable
Yeah.
for us. Because dis-ease is immediately happening in the body. We are getting made to be uncomfortable because we cannot move forward um, in this enslaved way of living, meaning living for what we're being told to be rather than what we are authentically meant to show up as, because that's what drives humanity, right? The other way is what has enslaved humanity, and our voice is going to matter with this Gemini energy. Mercury is the planet of communication, rules Gemini. So it goes hand in hand as to why the fast communication. And also too, what's going to be fun about this that we'll experience over like the next, I know it's a little bit ahead, but I think it's pretty neat, is the themes around education, and learning shifting, because everybody knows I've always got a mouth to say about public schools and not liking them. And so this time is getting me excited because, what, did I get in trouble?
No, that was me.
Oh, I was like, man, sometimes that could happen, bro. Where they'll, I was like, did I say something wrong? But anyway, so with this though, with the transit that's going to happen, there's going to be non-traditional learning ways of that it's going to rise. So that's got me really excited. It's going to be short form, fast paced, self-led education. Like, to me, with who I am as a person, this gets me so excited because I feel like the power is really going to come back into the people.
So how do we balance that when some people learn differently than others? So where you feel excited about that that might bring fear to people who are like, I need I need a structure, I need a classroom, I need a teacher, I need my peers. How does that kind of come together?
Because the teaching becomes more experiential than institutional. So people will be more involved in integrating in this, even if it's fast paced and more self led, it could still be more communal, right? Instead of it taking years to do, and you're doing all of this training outside of the field. Like you're spending years learning something that you're going to end up going and doing in a field instead of learning in the field. You get what I'm saying? Like from day one, it's going to be educational in that way. To where people are, because people are going to want, with the way the shifts are, people are going to want something that they can do on their own even as well, so they can feel into it. Now, the shadow aspects, because I like how you mentioned how I get excited about it, and their shadow aspects, well, increased anxiety, restlessness, overthinking are going to definitely happen. So, in having this conversation and knowing that Gemini rules the mind and the nerves and your nervous system, grounding is going to become essential. There is not going to be any way around stepping in your authenticity or grounding. You're not going to be able to get out of those things because, or let's just say, if you do, there's going to be a lot of resistance and discomfort,
Okay, so I want
which
to go
can
back
show
to.
up as restlessness, overthinking, nerve issues, anxiety.
Can you hear me?
Make sense?
Yeah.
What are you
You can
saying,
hear me?
Steph? Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to go back to your public school statement. So talking about doing everything outside of school, like virtually, however, even with adults going to school and college, how does this all of this work in your mind with people who need person interaction? You know, I'm good being a hermit, but what about these people who thrive on, you know, interacting with other people constantly?
Well, a lot of virtual options are going to happen mainly because of trying to draw like energy. So with institutions, the way that people are kind of gathered together, um, isn't always like energy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if we take it out of an institutional type setting, then we can ground it more for um, like, you could use the examples like soul family, like people that are just kind of in the same area, so you could still meet up together. It's not that you're not learning in a physical environment, it's just the ways in which it was done before is going to really really change and lighten up and become more individualized than institutionalized.
Okay.
That
So
makes sense.
Yeah.
so I got another question in this space just because it resonates differently for me. What about the like universities, folks that are in colleges? I understand that remote learning is probably easier, but what about those areas in which they need to go off and do like clinical settings or like go ahead.
That's what I mean about how schools have taken you out of actually being in the field. Like, for example, I'm doing all of this counseling and I'm doing all of this schoolwork when in all reality, what should be happening is from day one, I should be in a counseling atmosphere. Do you see what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I
Or
do. I do. I think where I just want to make sure I'm tracking is a lot of student nurses post pandemic graduated and decided not to become a nurse because they didn't feel like they had the same opportunities because they were stuck behind a computer. They would go and do their clinicals. But I'm just curious, like when you start to think about learning disabilities, when you have paras in the room that help keep the kids, stable and help them learn, where, how do we support those kind of children who may have ADHD and just can't sit still, and how are they getting focused?
I think
I
they
think I'm trying.
thrive better
You think
outside
they
of
would
that
thrive better?
school. They might, because there's a lot of overstimulation
Yep.
with the kids that, have those diagnoses, autism, ADHD. So they may thrive better when there's not all of that overstimulation.
So okay, so that's a good point. I don't have kids, so I've never had to go worry about the school system. So I'm trying to challenge myself to think
Hmm.
outside of the box. But I know several families who had children who had to repeat a grade
Hmm.
when they had to do remote schoolwork.
Right, but the thing of it is the education that they're being taught. Like, so that the major change that's going to happen is people are no longer going to be learning about, I want to cuss this out so bad, but about presidents from fucking that 5,000 years ago. Like, we don't need to know about that stuff. We need to know how to garden, how to manage our lives. You know what I mean? And self-sustainable. So that's going to be where the education is going to shift a shit ton. Is that it's going to be more about community-based education, so we can step more into creating, because a lot of, to be transparent here, and this might not go over so smoothly, a lot of AI and robotics can take over a lot of certain university type education. You get what I'm saying? That people were learning, like a lot of the medical field. There's a lot of different areas that are going to have a big takeover when it comes to like AI and technology and robotics and everything else, because it's going to free space, and even factory workers and this and the other, free space for those people that were draining themselves and not able to thrive in that because it's so draining, and they're going to be able to ground more and be more communal in their
So
healthcare or with their work. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, it makes sense. But every time you say something, you make me a little triggered. Um,
Okay,
how
that's fair.
how does AI support the manufacturing space?
Explain
Robotics.
a little further on that. What do you mean by that?
When you think about people working in factories,
Mm.
is are you Stephanie? I heard you say robotics. So is it the programming AI to create a pattern in their system and how things get done, or are you saying
Oh no, I hear it.
people are still going to be required in the factory, but they might be taking direction from AI?
Well, and more minimal because they're going to be more robotic. So you might have less workers because you have somebody who's controlling the robotics to do the factory type labor work. Does that make sense? Rather than the physical person being the laborer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I didn't expand my thought process on AI. Like I didn't take it into a robotic space.
Hmm.
I'm still used to just seeing it on a computer screen.
I know it's happening so fast, and that's what this energy, the year of the fire horse, the age of Aquarius. That's where, like, guys, when we can really use these tools, hear about these tools, identify with these tools, like we can identify with these tools. That's why astrology is really great to know, because you can look back at transits that are happening currently to the last time that it happened and see the comparison that's playing out now. So if you want to know real history, that's the kind of history I'm just saying that we should be learning about. So then that way we can see where the cycle was, what we can do to be different, show up different, and so forth. Um, it's not. I'm excited. I mean, it's gonna be something that evolves, but because it's moving into Gemini, it's gonna still happen very quickly at the same time. And that's where the misinformation is going to definitely happen, because it's going to hit media, social platforms, technology, AI, information exchange. Truth becomes decentralized, multiple perspectives rise. So that goes back to what we're talking about of learning your body, knowing your emotional safety, or how you know what I mean, how you kind of handle things. If you're somebody that gets anxious very quickly or can be quite reactive, then this energy may enhance that for you. So, grounding, taking more time, breath work, stuff like that's going to be really, really important to help. So even if this just gets put in your awareness and you start getting that way, now you could be like, okay, maybe I just gotta go outside, go for a walk. You know, whatever it looks like. I hug trees. I'm just being honest who I am. That's what I do. But everybody's got something different, right?
I told my coworker today it was a stressful day. I said I think I need to go outside and motorboat the grass.
So did you?
No, because I come right back on here.
Well, I think you should still do it because I literally laid out when my husband was digging on the homeowner's lawn. Oh my god, and just sunbathe like a plant. I friggin' loved it.
Stephanie, take the camera outside with you right now and go do it.
I'm on a boat outside. Sorry, TikTokers, you can't see her on there, but yeah, motorboat in the grass. That's what she's doing. Hey, you know what? Grounding is grounding because technically speaking, we can be silly and we can say this is taboo. But if Mother Earth is like the heartbeat of our Earth energy, then wouldn't like the trees hold the energetic light to be able to transmute anything that we need grounding? So hugging a tree, being on the grass, putting our feet in the soil, that is literally breathing life and love because it doesn't have anger, it doesn't have hatred. But if you kind of are intentional, because remember, your mind doesn't know the difference. Again, it's so important to know your mind, know your life, or control your mind, control your life. So if you're sitting there and you're like, man, can you, Mother Earth, can you just transmute any of this negative energy from me, this, that, and the other? You will feel lighter. Whether that sounds silly or not, it doesn't hurt nobody to think about it. And it's just another tool that helps you when you're involved in situations that you can use for your own safety.
I'll have to go to a park where there's no cameras. My neighbors like they have a lot of shit on me now. They see me hugging a tree, I'm gonna be in trouble.
Why though? But see, that's the thing. That's the old school way of talking. Why though?
That
Why is hugging a tree mean you're weird? There's something wrong with you.
Well, it's just a new way of thinking. But it's there she goes again.
Trying something new, revolutionizing the generation to opening up to grounding and spirituality and empowerment. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, but when you don't talk to your neighbors, it's different.
Oh my God, I love it. I love when they can see me doing some yoga or hugging my damn tree. And I'm right in front of a school, right over here. Elementary school. The more kids should, they'd probably be less babies kids if they didn't. I'm just saying. You
Here
need to get
in
grounded.
Cheshire, we put our prison systems across the street from elementary schools.
Which is crazy.
Do you want me to show you my shock face?
Like that's bomb.
Oh wait, that's right, everybody. Nobody even needs to see it because
Ours are next to golf courses.
so what the prison systems?
Yeah.
No, there's usually a school nearby still. That's why remember when they say
The one in Jackson
don't
was right
stop
next
for
to
walkers or something.
the one in Jackson was right next to the golf course.
Prison systems. Remember, prison systems and public school systems are the same thing.
They groom you.
They're the same grooming system. So you guys don't get me on that rant. But we'll go back to what we were talking about. So how is it affecting? So with Gemini, what house is Gemini in? We were talking about this the other day. It's good to look into just to know, so that way you can kind of personalize this energy for yourself. So like this energy is definitely going to bring a sense of this isn't stable anymore, and then now understand why and speak differently moving forward. So it's definitely going to be a lot of reflecting and self-awareness that's going to happen a lot with this transit, I believe. I believe there's going to be a lot of fast energy, so being mindful, and I was even thinking about my children and stuff like this, and even myself, like with energy drinks or what you're consuming or watching and stuff like that, because that can add to the tension, the anxiety, the mental jarble, because the mind can end up going very fast, and you don't want it to go so fast to where your actions follow. Does that make sense? So if you're having a mental disturbance, you don't want to. I am just trying to be hopeful that I want to make this clear with everybody that we don't act on all the mental things that come through, because a shadow aspect of this transit can be making rash decisions without thinking first that you can't come back from. So being mindful to ground and slow down.
How long's
a
this
lot of
transit?
stopping.
To 2033. 7 years.
I gotta ground myself till 2033 with my irrational decision making.
Yeah, because then it'll become, listen, it only takes 30 days to break a full habit and really be and make another one. Okay? So if you think about it, it's actually going to do you a service moving forward because it'll become a part of you.
Sit
And
down.
she just left the show, guys.
So
She
what
just walked it.
I
if
know
you
I'm just gonna have to be ready, because that's a long time for me to control my erratic behavior.
so you know when you're starting to feel that way. You know your heart races or whatever. When you start feeling that, stop yourself. Just make, stop yourself and think about why am I feeling like this? What is making me have this reaction? And then if I react this way, what happens? Is
Hmm.
is it going to get the result that I want?
Yeah, the
Yes.
unintended consequences, if you're not
Hmm.
really thinking through it. Well, does anybody gonna share their vices, like what makes you run out really fast to go buy something?
Well, you mean like what happens that makes you want to end up having something?
Or where's the first place you're gonna go when you get into one of those states? What store are you
Groovy.
hitting up?
Groovy grass is my only vice, and I don't even call it a vice. I call it a literally a tool for me that has worked very well.
That's not
Yeah.
fun.
Sanity tool.
Well, I had my fun, and it led me to be homeless. It led me to addictions. It led me down.
Oh,
For
you're
me,
happy.
vices. Well, I'm just saying. For me, vices. What they did was is that they made I escaped in ways that I thought could have been temporarily good. But what I learned is that those temporary fixes had long term consequences for me over time. And I learned that society, unfortunately, was groomed to these vices more than anything else for, again, short term gain, long term. It fall apart, right? Because that's what these systems are doing.
Stephanie,
So that for me, that's why I don't.
what store are you hitting up?
I usually send my husband across the street to Quick Trip to get me some chocolate.
Jesus, I don't even want to say mine now. I feel like a spoiled brat.
No, I mean, but I run through the mill of things and the after effects and the really like telling myself like how do I feel like shit and then trying to do it again and try to make myself feel better. It was a cycle for me. And feel free to share, guys, if you guys have vices. This is non-judgmental. My vices have just Groovy Grass is the only one that hasn't created any of those problems for me.
LSD, man.
So
What did he
It's
say?
Brian's
he's an
singing.
idiot. So me reparenting myself, that was a teaching tool that I want to do for myself. He's being silly. He's being mine's LSD, man.
Every night I tell him to get his ass on video if he's got something to say.
I give you no choice. Nobody tells you that you have to respond, technically speaking. And technically speaking, I could be a smartass and say to Tina, I'm the only face that's on TikTok right now. So let's not give shit when I'm the only face showing up on here right now.
I can get back and say I'm not showing up the next 7 days.
Well, that'll be on you for not following through, and you wouldn't do that personally. I think I would hope. No, you wouldn't do it. If you did, then fine. I'd still do it. I'm finishing this motherfucker.
Listen, if I could figure out why I'm not given an option to join by video on TikTok, you had just gotten me on Facebook working. And
Yeah, but didn't we have it work before?
No, I've
Tina.
always come up with the icon.
Then it must be your followers. You have over 1,000
Click
followers.
your icon. Click your
I
icon.
did.
Oh wait,
There
yes,
should
Stephanie was
say-
able to come on too before.
It says that you can only you'll connect using audio only, and it doesn't give me any other options.
Yeah, I
So
don't
when you
get
click
that.
on the icon, does it have a camera with a line through it?
Yep, and you can't click.
What
on
happens
it.
when you click the camera?
Nothing.
Gotcha.
I can only mute myself.
Bro, Facebook, I go on there now. Why do they got a mic on the other side crossed?
Because your mouth.
Well, then why did the universe make me come down here to do this shit then if I'm not supposed to be yapping?
Your mouth. That's your nickname.
Listen, Linda. we Linda, listen, Linda.
My grandson says it.
I know that's what it made me think of when so I started laughing.
Listen,
myself a little bit more.
Lincoln. He says Lincoln.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. So, we've been talking about psychological safety. We've been talking about the transits and the energies. I did want to make sure to share with you guys, there will be information overload and discernment is going to be very important. So, not all information equals truth, and the collective lesson that everybody will learn, so you might as well learn it individually, is discernment over consumption. If anybody has been paying attention to the information that I've been sharing over these past few months, it very much aligns with that. That consumption, we're meant to be creators and producers and not consumers. By us being consumers, the old systems were able to control us. Now those are crumbling. So now we kind of have to be more proactive in our lives because we're going to kind of honestly be forced in that direction. Really. Yell nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still digesting 2033, to be honest with you.
Well, think about how has the last 7 years been for you with the Uranus and Taurus transit.
And shit.
I mean, for me, it changed everything. My relationship to myself, to other people, my stability, the emotional stability that I created within myself. Like, when I look back, I'm like, I'm proud. I'm not going to lie. I'm proud of what this transit brought for me. Though it was difficult, it was the kind of difficult that where you realize you get the confidence after you do the hard thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I think for me, the last 7 years is everybody was dropping dead.
So that way they could help guide you in the spirit from the spirit realm.
Where the hell are they?
You know they're there. You got a rowdy ass house. Don't get me started.
I could use a little love.
You get plenty of it, but it's up to you to welcome it in.
Oh.
Spirit always need a lot of spirit guides. They want to be invited, so you want to invite them in. So an intuitive little development thing, that right there, because a lot of the times they don't want to freak you out. Some might want to fuck with you, but for the most part, like if you've got, this happens even in sessions, when I'm doing sessions, if they're not coming through, well, they might want to be asked. So be willing to kind of sit with that energy, especially with this Gemini communication energy, like, and the nervous system regulating, you keeping that nervous system grounded, you'll be able to really connect very fluidly, very easily. Guys, I did a telepathy thing earlier, for real, with my kids because I was curious. I was like, I'm going to fuck around and find out. I want to know. I want to know.
Ouija board with the kids.
So, no, we don't do the Ouija board. So I won't work with that because the makers of the Ouija board have satanic energy in it, and that's why satanic things happen to people when they use it. I would rather make my own if I was going to do that. But anyway, so we're driving home, and I start sitting in meditation, and I start in my head, I'm like talking to each kid individually, and I'm saying, if you guys connect with this, send me a snap. Just send me a snap. And I sat with each one of them for a few minutes, just sending the energy. Because what you got to do is then you got to release it. Don't be holding on. Don't be like, I didn't hear nothing. Let it go. And then usually they say with anything, when you're speaking spirit, give it some time, up to 24 hours and what have you, or give that limit when you're kind of speaking it out. Because just because we're physically alive, we could still telepathically communicate because we're all energy. Point being, I did it to both kids. Which kid do you think sent me the snap?
Uriah.
Yep. And he sent me a snap of what you fall from is the same thing you have the opportunity to rise from, or something really angelic. Like he just messaged right now again. So I'm real angelic like, and I'm like this kid.
Is he on TikTok listening to us? Is that why he's messaging you?
No,
think
no,
so.
he's sending me. He's sending me like 45 things. So it must be for a tattoo that he's sending me all these things right now. But no, because I'm looking and he's not in it. That's why I'm kind of thinking it's funny.
So my energy shows up when I'm not here, and I come home to an array of weird things going on in my house.
Well, you let your house be free reign, like it's school drop off. Like that's what your house is like for spirit.
So I don't know if I was on the phone with you that day I walked in, and I'm like, what the F is that? And the Amazon in a room all by herself got his music playing. I'm like, all right. Then the other night, I come home, and it's like this game they play with me. I know I turn everything off before I leave. I do leave some kind of sound going for the dog just because he's older.
Mm-hmm.
I come home, all the TVs are on.
Oh my god, I love this.
All of them. I'm walking around the house, I'm effing everybody up and down. Like, seriously, I can't find the remotes for half these TVs.
Mind you, she lives alone when she's effing everybody up and down.
Yeah.
Just
I'm talking to them because they're here. So then that night, I was going to bed and I was like, what the hell do I hear? So I'm walking around the house. I open the basement door and the TV's on in the basement. I'm like, every goddamn TV was turned on that day. So like when I leave my house, they like to let me know they've been here.
Oh, absolutely. But have you ever asked them like, what are you seeking? What do you need to know, or what do I need to know? Like, have you ever kind of sat with that energy or used your pendulum or anything?
I've sat with the energy, like in some really dark moments, to say, if you're here, help me figure out how to find my way back. But
Journaling's a great opportunity to do it in that moment.
I have cardinals that stalk the shit out of me everywhere I go.
You're a hell of a spirit team, bro. I've always
Every
told you.
morning in the summer, there'll be a male and a female on my car, on each mirror, and I'm like, ugh. And then when I screw something up, my father comes through because he's usually the first one to say, "You asshole! I told you not to do it that way. Like, that's not what I showed you how to do." But they do come through. It's just funny how. I'll share an example. So Auntie Marie, Uncle Friday took me out for New Year's Eve the year my mom died. So she died in June. So we went out for New Year's dinner. Auntie Marie wore a coat that my mother bought her, and she said as she was walking out of the house, "Lou, I'm wearing that coat that everybody made fun of you for buying, but I love it and I'm gonna wear it." We get to the restaurant. A younger teen kid walks over, puts his hand on her shoulder, and says, "This is such a beautiful coat." And she says, "Thank you." And he goes, "Oh my God, it's got such energy." And I was like, "Oh, here we go. Here we go." Then we were talking to a couple next to us who they were from Michigan. And they were talking about Michigan, and I said, "Are you from Detroit?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh my God, that's where my father grew up." So I'm getting connections.
Get the fuck out of here! Your father grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
And I've lived in fucking Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's where the energy connected then for me to end up going to Michigan.
His father did a lot
Wow.
with Ford when he was starting all his stuff.
Wow, you just blew my fucking mind.
So I made the connection there, and then they left and they put money on our tab, and they left a note, and I can't remember what it said, but it was something that it just resonated with my mother, my father. Auntie Marie was like a mess, but it was like
Oh.
we were just, all right, we're just here for New Year's, and all of a sudden, even at my father's funeral, for this when we were at the restaurant, my father loved NCIS.
No,
Loved
right
it.
on.
It was on every goddamn TV in this restaurant, and I'm not paying attention. And one of my girlfriends says, "Are you watching TV?" And I'm like, "No, why?" She's like, "Look around." I'm like, "Why is it everywhere?" I'm like, "God, he hasn't even been gone for like 4 days, and he's already controlling the TVs."
2 weeks prior, they have so much fun because the energy is so strong because they're like newbies. The first 2 weeks are really, really, really intense for people, especially when you're open. Because think about this, T. If you weren't open, if you weren't aware, if you weren't slowing down, you would miss those cardinals and what that means to you on the mirrors. You get what I'm saying? You
Oh
would just
yeah.
kind of scratch it off as something else.
Nicole, they built a nest last summer in my lilac bush right under this window where I work.
I love it.
But I'm like, I can't even trim this tree because there's all cardinals in there. I'm gonna kill half the family again.
Yeah.
But even, and I think I shared this, but even with my father, the day after he passed, I was at the kitchen table writing stuff up for the funeral. I heard a loud noise. First thing I did was go look for my mother because she was not all there. She was sitting in the recliner. I said, "Where's the dog?" The dog was with her. I'm like, "So what the hell was that noise?" I walked into the other room where I have all my father's oxygen tanks lined up, and they did a domino effect. They all just fell. And I went, "All right, I get it. You're free now.
Hmm.
He says, I'm done with these.
You're free." Yeah.
You can have these motherfuckers. I'm over this
And
shit.
it bent its goddamn floor by doing it.
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful about spirit. Now, see, the thing of it is, had their generation been made aware of the energies and inner, you know what I mean, in your intuition and stuff like that, how different they of opportunities could have happened in the physical. But what's beautiful is that once they passed, they were able to show up that way to better influence you, you know, the next generation.
Right.
And that's how I truly look at it with, you know, our elders, is that we could look at it from a victimized standpoint, or we could look at it as from a standpoint of evolution. As my banner says, soul love evolution is what we are going into with this energy. And I'm so excited because I remember the first time that I had a conversation with Brian on the front porch when we just we're getting to know each other. And I remember telling him that love will win. Love is the way. Love is like fairy tales, all unicorns. And he goes, not yet though. And I go, what the does that mean? Don't say that shit. And when I look back over the past 10 years of what's been transforming, I see where there was a lot of honesty. There was a lot, like you obviously had to have grace and stuff like that along the way, but I see where it's transitioning and now we're coming into love leading the way. Like it sounds silly, but that is literally what we're all going into. And I'm so excited because, I mean, I've been talking about it forever, so it's about damn time.
You feel the need to constantly remind us you've been saying this, huh?
Guys, because you know how hard it is to have spoken for so long about things, and now when it unfolds, it's almost like having a lottery winning tickets. You know what I'm saying? You're like, see, remember when? Remember? It's just like that for me. It's very validating and exciting, but it's almost like it'd be nice moving forward for it to be heard. And the energy we're going into, it will. This energy will make more sense to get heard more often.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Before it just wasn't ready to be translated.
I hear you.
No, that's just your cop thing that you go to act like you just heard what I said, but really you just you do a certain I hear you. That's where I'm like, you didn't hear what I just said.
I did too. You're validating yourself.
I'm not validating myself. Ooh,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I can't see it.
It says bond. I just thought it was cute with what we're all doing here.
I think for you, Sometimes I don't know how to say things without offending you, but
Oh, you're never offending me. I'm just fucking with you. I'm
I
sorry.
think the validation is important to you in certain ways because of how people have reacted to to the to your discoveries, your internal skill sets and blessings, right?
You're
So
incredible at being able to articulate it
so
better. Yeah.
when you feel that validation, it's not to say I told you so. It's for
Right.
your own inner being.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you just Nicole worded it. You got me. I get it. I get it. No, you're right. It's true. I mean, and it goes true even when I like. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. It is what it is. Good stuff. This way, she's a coach, everybody. So feel free to check her out. She'll be knocking on your door soon enough. So get ready to open it. So, Steph, how have you felt about your first night? We're 5 minutes out. Usually, Tina likes to do a reflection, but I'd like to know how do you feel about tonight? Is there anything that you kind of caught you and you're like, ooh? Is there anything that you're like, what the heck? Like, how'd it
Is there
go?
anything like why did I do this?
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Why ask those questions?
No, I'm glad I did it. First off, though, I have to say that the whole Auntie Marie and Uncle Freddie thing keeps throwing me off because your dad had an Uncle Marie and an uncle, or Aunt Marie and an Uncle Freddie. So every
Come
time you say it,
on.
I'm thinking, yeah, Auntie Ree and Uncle Freddie.
Oh,
I
that's
don't even know.
funny.
So yeah, so
That's
it's kind of, it
hilarious.
was throwing me off at first, and I'm like,
So
okay, hold
my
on, other
mother-
side of the family.
Yeah, my mother and Marie are sisters, and they're sisters to her uncle Marty.
So it's interesting because, oh my God, see, it was Uncle Marty's bloodline the whole
Yeah.
time that was able to bring it in, bring it through. So it's just interesting to see how this is, guys, it's what I mean about paying attention to energy and synchronicities and stuff like that because my father is seeing that because there's the comparisons even when it came to Brian and stuff and those similarities. Like the universe, we always are being guided because, guys, think about this. Think about being in the spirit realm. You just quick moment, okay? And you're sitting around a table with your people, and you're like, I'm gonna go down on Earth, and I'm gonna pick up the first part of the alphabet, every substance abuse, addiction, trauma. I'm gonna pick up A through G, okay? And then Tina, you're gonna take H through Q. And then Stephanie, we're gonna give you R through Z. We sit around that table, we're like, okay, then we jump on in, and when we go and jump on into this world, we take on all of those things. And as we're taking on all of those things, we become victims, right? And we can get kind of stuck in it. But then there's a moment of remembering that happens. And when that moment of remembering happens, it's almost like we start to look at it from an observation like this is a job and a duty that we're sent here to do rather than staying in victim. So the whole point of this show is to do exactly that, help provide tools that kind of help empower you and just remember yourself back to you. That kind of came through, so I really wanted to share it. Did that make sense, though?
Yes,
Tina's face sometimes, I'm like, then I just go,
Tina's still focusing on 33.
It's a long time.
It's a good number for you, Nicole. Apparently, it's not a good number for her.
No.
it is.
Oh my god.
Well, and it's so spiritually led, too, because 7 years, I mean, I can go on and on. But, guys, we're at the end of our show. We're going to have a moment of reflection. I'm glad that, Stephanie, that you are with us. I'm glad that you're remaining open to the experience. I know that a part of your own personal journey is asserting, leading in community, and I think that you're going to be great here. I really, really do, and I look forward to see how this all unfolds with all of us. And then I will shoot it over to you, Tina.
All right. So after that, let's take a breath. Tonight, the sky is teaching us something simple and profound. Emotional intelligence is not about controlling your emotions. It's about creating enough inner safety to let them speak without taking over the room. As the moon steps, I'm watching Nicole.
Sorry, that resonated with me when you said that. Sorry.
That's all right. As the moon steps onto its next stage, ask yourself, where am I ready to express something I've been holding back? How can I speak truth in a way that deepens connections rather than fractures it? What old relational patterns is Venus and Uranus inviting me to release? Let tonight be a rehearsal for a more emotionally honest life, or where your truth is spoken with clarity, your boundaries are held with compassion, and your presence becomes a place where others feel safe to breathe. You are not just navigating a transit, you're practicing leadership of the self. And that is the most sacred work of all.
So speak the fuck up in your life is what that means, and do it unapologetically. So I will end this episode like I end all episodes, and that is, if you woke up today, your soul still has purpose on this planet. So you might as well show up authentically true to you. Love and light, beautiful souls. Thanks for joining us on day 23 of 30. And we will be back here tomorrow for day 24 of 30. And not sure we got a story yet. We're still working out the kinks, guys. Just work with us, bear with us. We love you. Love and light.
Bye, guys.